obviously traditional ways with modern technology to manifest what you are aligned to, not what you want. Because I'll give you a perfect example. Think back to when you were in grammar school and there was that guy that you thought was the most amazing heartthrob in the 80s and 90s, if you're Gen X like me, and you thought, oh my God, I want to be with him for the rest of your life. And then you met your significant other and you look back at pictures and you're like, they didn't age well. And then you think to yourself, no, that was never meant to be, right? Unanswered prayers are sometimes some of the ones that protect us the best. So let's move into it. I know it's a bold statement. Stay with me. We're going to manifest what we're aligned to, not what we want. We've been told that we can choose to, and I've said it myself, and I'll kind of redact that statement, use the universe like it's Amazon Prime. Now, yes, it is where we can go and we can talk to the universe. We can ask and request, we can align with. But if we do it in a system of fear, and I'm going to be exploring that with you, you're going to understand it's just not going to work. Today, I'm going to give you guys a different perspective. I believe that manifestation is becoming the version of yourself who is ready to receive, recognize, and act on what you've been asking for. So think about it this way. To truly manifest, you have to take on the identity of the person that can hold all the things that you want. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. It's going to be a house of cards. It's going to be a sandcastle, and it will fall apart with the tide. So let's take a look at, with our segment one, why have we been manifesting wrong? Right? So let's take a look at that. So at some point, somewhere along the lines, manifestation became this checklist. So you see over here, you've got a vision board, you've got affirmations, you've got journaling and scripting and crystals and candles and meditation and prayers. And let me be clear, I love those practices. I use them on the daily. I look at my vision board daily. I journal. I use crystals. I meditate. I pray. But none of them matter if you abandon yourself every day. There is a large collective of women and men, right, that abandon themselves every day and think, oh, but if I abandon myself and I just beg the universe to please give me the money, the person, the house, the job, the insert your desire, but you're not being authentic and true to yourself, it will never work. If you're asking from abundance when you're living in fear, if you're asking for love, will you believe you're unworthy? If you're asking for peace while consistently seeking everyone else's approval, you're reinforcing the pattern you're stuck in. So I want you to think about that. When you are begging versus requesting, it's a different frequency. When you're like, oh my God, if I could just please, that's working from a system of fear versus, hey, I'm becoming her. And this woman has XYZ, or this man has XYZ, or this person has XYZ. You're going to reinforce those patterns you're stuck in, because manifestation isn't pretending. It's about alignment. So when you sit there and you want that love, or you want that career, or you want money, right? And you're sitting here opening up bills and you're afraid and your root chakra is so activated because you don't have the resources that you perceive you need. You know, you're playing literally this game of let's not pay the light bill because they won't come after me, but I got to pay the credit card one. Or you're kind of playing Russian roulette with bills. And then you're saying to the universe, I want to be a millionaire. You're not prepared for that energy. You're not the person that can hold that energy. You need to become to receive, my darling. So maybe that's resonating with you, is that you're trying to feel love, but your predominant emotion is worthiness. You're trying to elevate in your career, but you think you're a fraud. You're trying to keep it moving and you want peace, but you will sacrifice yourself for everybody's approval. And because you're a people pleaser, you can't live a peaceful life worried about how other people respond to your energy. You just got to try your best to be the best version of yourself. This is not an invitation to be an asshole, but you have to try to be the best version of yourself, put that out there, and live in your most authentic way. All right. Why does alignment really matter? As we move into this next segment of segment 2, why does alignment really matter? I'm guilty of this, right? If it over 50 years old, I can't tell you how many versions of myself there were, how many masks I wore, how many times I sacrificed belonging to myself in order to fit in with other people. I was worried about their opinions. I was living in fear. I was living in I don't think I could be in alignment with that, right? For me, alignment is very simple. It's belonging to yourself before you belong anywhere else. I can wake up now fully aligned, look at myself and say, I'm here. I'm here. I'm in my alignment. I'm the person I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm using the God given universe or creator gifts that were intended for me. If I was trying to live a cookie cutter life and trying to be like everybody else, I wasn't designed to be. I was never designed to fit in. I was always made to stand out. And so were you in your own unique way. So living in your agreement with your authenticity instead of your fear, it's scary. It's scary to stand here and say, I'm not going to be the version of me that you expect me to be because it's convenient for you, or you're using me, or you're siphoning my energy, or siphoning my peace. You like the way I do XYZ or the things that I do for you. I'm not saying it's not about being generous, but generosity comes from a place of abundance. People pleasing comes from a place of fear. So you want to have a generous heart. I have a very beautiful, generous heart, but I will not be taken advantage of. So, very importantly, it's understanding the perspective. I'm not trying to convince you that I'm a good person. I did that for too long. I spent too much time trying to show people I had a pure heart. I had a loving heart. I was worthy of their love. Screw it. If you don't want to think I'm worthy of your love, if you don't want to think I have a pure, loving heart, that's on you. And I'm saying this because I want you to be inspired to stop moving through life like it's these listless moments where you're playing almost like a side character in the main character life that you live. So instead of seeking people's approval, instead of people pleasing, instead of approval sucking, I want to ask you, where does it get you? What does it get you? It keeps you living small. I remember because there was a time in my life when I was that person living small, and it was exhausting. It was exhausting. It was frustrating. I didn't feel like I was living at all. I was trying to become the version of myself that everybody else wanted me to play. It's almost like I had a different mask. I had the mask of wife. I had the mask of mother. I had the mask of teacher. I had the mask of administrator. I had the mask of now, as some people think, the mask of an influencer. And when I put that all aside, I would look in the mirror and I wouldn't even recognize who was looking back at me. I would cry in the shower. I would cry in the car. I kept pouring from this empty cup, the proverbial pouring from an empty cup, because I thought my value came from being chosen. I thought my value came from feeling worthy and being accepted by what I was doing, not just by who I was being as a human being, not a human doing. I will tell you though, this is the sticky part. The moment that you start choosing yourself and stop chasing approval, everything will change. Everything will change. You will change, but so will the way you have relationships with people when they stop benefiting from you not seeking their approval, when they stop benefiting from you not seeking to do everything that's the version, the mask of you that they want to wear. It's hard. You will lose people. You will lose people. You will lose jobs. You will lose your mind a little bit, to be 100% honest. It will be a crisis of self, but it will be cathartic. It will be healing. And on the other side of that, it's not like you're going to all of a sudden wake up and be somebody new. You're going to return to you. That is the best gift I can give you, is the return to you. It's about remembering who you have always been. The moment you drop acting in your life and start living in your life and take on that main character energy, people are going to call you a bitch. People are going to say you changed. People are going to criticize you. Let them. Let them do what they want and you do what you want. Let them, let me. And then you move into creating an identity that creates your reality. So as we move from the mask, now we have a path. And I always think of Frost when I look at paths, right? Do I want to take the path that is carved out for me? Or do I want to take the path less traveled, right? When I think of that, I know for me personally, I want to go on the path that's my alignment. And you're like, Luna, you keep throwing around this word alignment. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because your identity creates your reality. These micro choices and micro habits and atomic habits, beautiful book if you've ever read it, align with who you're going to become. So on the daily, those choices, are you getting up early? Are you working out? Just a couple examples. Are you reading things that ignite your soul? Are you hanging out with the 5 people that you're closest to determine your reality? Right? What are those micro choices? You're creating your reality. Now, I'll tell you, you're going to come to this road multiple times. It's not like you're just like, I'm taking fear. No, you're going to come to this road on many decisions in your life. And sometimes the alignment decision is going to feel hard because, again, that people pleasing, that tugging, that approval, that just wanting to be normal. What the hell is normal? Can somebody please tell me what is normal? What makes you normal? Okay. A lot of people will say, but Luna, I'm going to manifest this life and it's just wishing. Yes, it was just 11:11. I could have told you to make a wish. I say I claim. When I hit 11:11, I don't say I wish anymore. I say I claim. I believe truly, and I'm probably the only person that's talked about this, is that manifestation is becoming. Every day in my journal, every night, every morning, I have a mantra of the woman that I'm choosing to become. And my daily habits and my daily actions are starting to resemble her. They're starting to align. And if you know anything about the laws, the law of concordance says that when you start acting one way, it aligns you to that version. And there are already stacked versions of you that exist that when, based on quantum physics, you observe that version, it is now there, it comes in. And then there's a perfect alignment. So every decision you make is a vote for the woman you're becoming. You're casting a vote for the person you make, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. Somebody asks you to go do something. You're invited to the neighborhood barbecue. But that bitch Barb, you can't stand her and she's going to be there. And you're like, no, Barb, no, ma'am. I don't want to sit there and have to listen to you talk about yourself 55 times and then sit there and smile politely. So you decline. And you're like, but all the other neighbors are there. And then you think about FOMO, the fear of missing out. And then you realize, I don't want to go to that bullshit barbecue. I don't want to talk to Barb. I want to talk to these people that have no idea. It's like I'm trying to translate 5D living back to 3D existence, and I don't want to be around it. I'm not saying you have to be a recluse. I'm not saying that you have to have, you're trapped in your house with a bunch of cats. But what I'm saying is, you need to know when you want to go to something, you go. When you don't, you don't. I can't tell you how many more times I've said no in the last year. It's probably been more than in the first 49 years of my existence. And no does not need an explanation. No is no. No is a complete sentence. So those decisions, ask yourself, right? Who am I becoming through my thoughts? Let's go there too. Women, stop the bullshit. Stop staring in the mirror, criticizing yourself, looking at every possible flaw that you have, talking to yourself as if you are your worst enemy. I want you to start talking to yourself as you stand at that precipice of fear and alignment and start to realize, I stand with myself, right? Who are you becoming through your words? Who are you becoming through your habits? How do you speak to yourself? I have heard myself speak to myself, and I would be embarrassed because if I talked to somebody else like that, it would be cruel. Okay? Each day we stand at this crossroads. One is for the path of fear. One is for the path of alignment. Fear will say, what if I fail? And it'll put that in your mind. What if I fail? What is failing anyways, right? But alignment says, what if I become her? The life you're dreaming about isn't just waiting for you to find it. It already exists. Like I said, if you look at the possibility of stacked realities and quantum physics, it already exists. It's wanting you to become the woman or man. And obviously most of my audience is women who will receive it. You can't be on the frequency of abundance if you have fear. You can't sit there and want love if you don't feel worthy. And I can't tell you how many times people come to me and they're like, Luna, why doesn't he love me? Why won't he choose me? Why don't you choose your damn self first? Why don't you choose yourself first? How do you expect anyone to love you if you don't even have the roadmap for how you should love yourself? How can you love anyone else if you're not choosing yourself first? So when we move into now we're in alignment. Now we've chosen our alignment over fear. And we make these choices on the daily. This is not just like you just skippity doo dah. It's the yellow brick road. It's not the yellow brick road. It is constant realignment to self. It's constantly being challenged to see, are you really becoming her? Or are you just full of bullshit? Okay. So now when you decide to align, when you decide to be sovereign to self, when you decide to become the version of yourself, we move into what I call my 4-step manifestation framework. So when we look at that, it's 4 very, very simple things. And this is when manifestation will kick in and work. 1, this is my process. This is a Luna Goddess original. This is what I come back to. You need to think it. Okay. You need to be inspired. You need to have the idea first, because everything that exists in wild was first a thought. Think of every great piece of architecture. Think of every great song. Think of every great painting. It was first conceived in the mind of the person. Okay. Think of the fact that we have lights now in this studio. Thank you, Edison, who decided, I think this can happen. And I'm going to fail 1,000 plus ways before I realize, or I'm going to have 1,000 iterations before it comes to fruition. It's not failing, it's iteration. It's trying and applying. It's trying and applying. It's redirecting yourself. It came from the mind. Nothing that exists in the world today didn't first come from the mind. The clothes I'm wearing was designed by a designer, right? It didn't exist until they had a vision for it. So we think it. We need to receive that download from spirit, from source, from God, from Allah, from your belief system inserted there. It comes down, pours right into your cranium, right? Then you allow yourself to think about it, dream about it, envision yourself. We start using our pineal gland here to really bring it to our awareness, right? So like we get this idea, and before your brain goes, I can't do that, and has a closed mindset instead of a growth mindset, you allow yourself to feel it. Okay, you say, what if? I love that expression. What if? What if I became a millionaire in 6 days? What if? Now, most of you would go, Luna, you're not a millionaire now. Oh, I'm well aware. Okay, I'm on the path. But what if in 6 days I became a millionaire? I don't say, oh my God, I can't do that. I don't have a business plan. I don't have a company that's worth $1 million. I don't even play the damn lottery. What if? I allow myself to be open to the possibilities. What if I moved to Italy tomorrow? What if? Oh, you can't do that, Luna. You've got a child that's going to be a junior in high school and blah, blah, blah. What if? Okay. So you open your mind to the possibilities that you've been afraid to consider. I'm not asking you to have the master plan alphabetized with tabs. I'm asking you to say, what if? To consider the possibilities. Then you say it. Once you put that in your mouth, right? Because your words have power. You spell. It's magical. So I've received it. I've pondered it. I've what ifed it. Now I say it. Your mouth becomes the agreement. You speak it into agreement with the woman you're becoming. You stop fear over your future. You say it out loud. You claim it out loud. Here's where a lot of people get lost. They can think it, they can journal it, they can feel, they can what if it, they can say it. Oh my God, I'm going to be a millionaire. Okay, no. Do I want to be a millionaire? It's not about the bank account. It's about the lifestyle. I want to be able to, in my very Midwest bougie behavior, go buy something and not look at a damn price tag or use a coupon. Okay. I want to be able to live that lifestyle where I want to book a flight. I book a flight. I want to do this or that. It's not the dollars in my bank account. It's the freedom that it brings. Right. So as I sit there, I start to say it. I'm going to be a millionaire. Okay. So I've thought it. I've received the message. I didn't exclude it out of my brain, because your brain will always try to keep you safe. It'll perfect you. It'll protect you from what it thinks is dangerous. It'll protect you from what it thinks is expansion. It doesn't know the difference. It's going to convince you it's not a good idea. But damn, what if? Okay. This is where most people drop off in the 4 steps of manifestation. They don't feel it. You need to teach your damn nervous system that it's safe, that wanting to expand is safe, that joy is safe, success is safe, love is safe. You're going to need to feel those feelings. The more familiar you become with the emotions, the easier it is to respond to them than fear. Fear will creep up. What happens if he hurts me like the last guy I dated? What happens if he cheats? What happens if he lies? What happens if he steals? What happens if this all works out for my greater good and I'm with the person, my partner? What happens if my bank account is flooded with opportunities instead of depleted by bills? What happens if one day I wake up and all of a sudden this podcast, this particular episode is now syndicated? It's already pushed out to 37 million people, but what if it actually reaches the hearts and minds of all of those 37 million people? Just do it. Like literally. The 4th step of this, right? So we've thought it, we've what ifed it, we've said it, we've communicated our goals, we felt in alignment. Now we got to put action behind it. You can't manifest your life sitting on the couch, doom scrolling, eating Cheetos. Shit's not going to happen that way. You have to put some effing action behind it, right? You got to just move your ass and become that person. You want to be her? What does she do? How does she move? What are her habits? You got to reverse engineer the life that you want. So if you want to be that person that is living in luxury or is speaking on a stage, you have to look at who is she, reverse engineer, and then you make those small micro agreements with yourself daily, those habits to become her. Why are most people stuck? This is an easy ass way to do this. But why are most people stuck? As we look at the next segment, why are people stuck? Okay. Does that resonate? I know I saw people chatting up. I'm sorry if I've missed any of the chat, but I know we see a lot of this resonating. We see a lot of people greeting, saying hello to us. Much love to all of you. But those steps become those steps as we move from fear into alignment. In the next segment, we're going to talk about why most people stay stuck. Let's talk about why most people stay stuck. I think most people, oops, we got it. It should be segment 5, guys. Okay. Yeah. Fear versus alignment. So why are you stuck? Why are you stuck? I think most people fail because they aren't manifesting. I think they're stuck because they're manifesting from fear. As you see here, very similar to we saw the roads, we have fear and we have alignment. What if I fail? What does failing even look like for you, right? What if I don't want to struggle? I don't want the pain. I don't want to struggle. I don't want another bad relationship. I don't want to fail. Yes, none of us do. Pain is not something we all want to walk through, right? But what are you focused on when you're saying, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want? And you know what? If you are treating the universe like an Amazon catalog, when you say, I don't want, the universe doesn't hear the don't. It just hears struggle, pain, a cheating partner. It only knows the frequency you're on because that's where your focus is. You have to think it, say it, feel it, and put action behind it. Notice the focus. All of it is related to fear. If you really pay attention, and I'm going to go as far as to say, our society is designed to keep you from aligning to yourself with fear. Fear of war, fear of famine, fear of starvation, fear of, the dichotomy of splitting people up. Everything is made to drive fear into your hearts. I will say I consider myself a relatively interesting person, educated person. I haven't watched the news in probably 7 years. Do I know what's going on in the world? Absolutely. Do I want them to drive that fear into my heart so that I can't find my alignment? Nico, I see that resonating with you. What do you think about that, love?
I just have a quick question about that. Can fear be useful in becoming who you want to be, or is it a good idea to completely get rid of all fear?
You're never going to get rid of all fear. Like what you're saying is transmuting fear the same way I transmute anxiety.
Okay.
On the same platform, anxiety and excitement are the same emotional experience in your body. It is the same physiological experience in your body. So when I start to feel anxious about something, my mind rewires it to excitement. And I say, oh my God, I'm so excited for this. My body then understands, my central nervous system understands I'm excited. Same thing with fear. Sometimes I will transmute, because remember, I'm an alchemist. I move the energy. I will transmute that fear to excitement, or that fear. Let me tell you something. I stood on a platform in El Yunque in Puerto Rico. I don't know how far above the tree line, with a harness on. It was the first time I ever went ziplining across a damn forest, a rainforest. And I sat there and I said, oh my God. I went to the platform and they're like, Luna, you're going to need to jump. And I'm like, shit, that's scary. You look down and you can't even see the damn ground. It's just canopies of trees. You're above them. And you got people and you don't even know if their equipment's OSHA regulated, because, you're like, I don't know. Damn. And I did it and it was cool. Every time I faced a fear, it has led me to becoming her. Every time I faced a fear, I was scared to death when I got divorced. 18 years married. I was scared to death for being ostracized by friends and family, which they did anyways. And I walked through that fear because I knew on the other side of fear is that opportunity of alignment. So instead of being afraid, what would love choose? Ask yourself, what would love choose? What would peace choose? What would confidence choose? So we're aligning to that version of ourselves. What would the future look like? What's the future version of me choosing? If I want to be her, whatever her is for me, is going to be different for you, or different for him, or different for them. What would you choose? Because remember, energy flows where your attention goes. So where your attention goes, your life will follow. So who's that person? Who's that person?
Quick question. Because, okay, for me, I'm always stuck in a negative mindset, and I feel like that manifests into more negative things.
Where's
and
your
I
focus?
don't
Where's
want
your
that-
focus, right?
Yeah.
Can you hear? They can hear you, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So, and I'm trying to change that, but I find it very hard because I'm a negative Nelly. And then, like you were just
How are
saying,
you identifying when you just told me that?
What'd you say?
How are you identifying yourself? You just said, I'm a negative Nelly. You claimed your identity right there, correct?
In a sense.
So who do you want to be?
Well, I want to be positive.
Okay, then stop. I am working towards, I'm growing towards, I am becoming him who is what? Positive, happy, joyful, peaceful. You keep claiming the negativity when you should be claiming the man you want to be, that is full of peace and opportunity and optimism. When you keep saying, I'm a negative Nelly, but you could be like, but Luna, look what happened to me. If you keep claiming that, I tell you, worse things will continue to happen.
So act like it before it's even true, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people call that imposter syndrome. What you're doing is you're aligning. You're not acting. It's the law of concordance. It's no different than the law of manifestation, no different than the law of abundance, no different than the law of the divine oneness. We talked about the law of divine concordance. Go back and watch our episodes. What it means is the more that you become him, you can't get anything other than what you're resonating on. It's like you keep listening to rock and roll saying you want to listen to country. Get the fuck off that channel. You're on that channel. Like I can help you. Like I can keep helping you with micro habits get there. And a lot of the coaching that we do, as it's up here in our QR code, illuminatus.org, is about aligning where your mind needs to go and aligning where your heart needs to go so that you can start to make those movements. But when you say, I am this, the universe listens exactly and precisely to what you say next. That's why I always say I am becoming her. And it knows what my version of her is. And then I put the habits behind that. So if I feel negative, I find myself in opportunities where I can see and hopeful and positive. Now, I know a lot of us, self-included you, I know Nico, have gone through some serious ass trauma and drama.
Yep.
So that shift is not just like, la-di-da, I'm going to get a lollipop
right.
and I'm going to look at the clouds. No, It is truly that active action of aligning, of thinking it, of saying it, because you're thinking it, right? You've already claimed this idea. What if I could be more positive? But then your words just contradicted what you want.
Yep.
And then the feeling needs to be there, and then the action needs to be there. That's a fabulous question.
Okay.
So let me rephrase this. Let's go back. You said, I'm a negative Nelly. You're going to say redacted, because anytime you jack
Redacted.
yourself up with the universe, all you have to do is pretend like it's like Nixon files from the 70s. Just shred that shit. Okay. Redacted. Who are you?
I'm me. I'm Nico.
Great. You're Nico, and you're becoming him.
Yep.
Are you there yet? No. But every day you're going to make those micro choices and micro habits to allow you to be him. And it doesn't happen overnight. This transformation of myself went through some serious fire. It's kind of like that phoenix rising. I looked at my past and I went, why did I have to? I used to say, why did I have to struggle? Well, to become her, she had to go through those things to have the empathy and compassion to hold this existence.
Okay.
I'm not there yet, but I'm definitely much closer than I was a year ago. And I'm proud of that. Right? A year ago, I had 67 fans on TikTok or family members, community members. Right. Now we're almost at 15,000. Across platforms, we're growing. I didn't have a podcast.
Right.
That's happened in the last 6 months. It's been a whirlwind, and it happened in a very short amount of time. And people looking at her like, she's so lucky. Oh my God. It's not luck. I stepped into my true authenticity. And this is when it all unleashed. It was like, my authenticity was the key, and I put it in the door and I unlocked all these opportunities. But to hold the key, I had to go through some pain, and I had to trust myself that what was on the other side of the door was not disappointment again, but opportunity.
And I'm asking this question mainly for the viewers. I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this, but it's not just manifestation of, for instance, my company is going to become huge. I have to put in the work and the action to make it happen. That
goes back to the 4 things. If that's what you're aligning to, and you want to become that CEO energy, you can't be working like a mailroom guy. Like that CEO energy requires the blood, sweat, and tears. I'm not saying it has to be hard. You're not focusing on the arduous past. There is actually an unknown law that talks about that you can shrink down. Like we're all like, I want to be a millionaire someday. Well, what someday? Is that a month, 3 months? The universe doesn't recognize time like we do. So all you keep doing is showing up as that version of yourself. It could be down to what you wear. It could be down to how you speak, how you carry yourself, what you eat, what you drink, how you nourish your body. But what would a CEO eat? If you're sitting there eating Funyuns, most CEOs don't eat Funyuns. I mean, I'm sure Gary Vee does because it's Gary Vee. But, and I'm not saying you can't love Funyuns as a CEO. People are going to don't come for me, Funyun CEOs. But I'm saying, where does he go?
Right.
I know truly for me, regardless, as I'm on my journey, there are things that are at my core of authenticity that will stay the same. I'm still going to want to eat from street vendors. If I don't care how many millions of dollars in my bank account, because it's what I like. I'm going to want to do this or that. I'm not going to live in the mold of what a CEO is by the world's perspective, but by my perspective and my alignment. Does that resonate?
Beautifully said. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Right.
100%.
So, people get mad at me all the time. They're like, well, Luna, you swear. Yeah, well, because in that moment, I'm fluent in multiple languages. But at any time, if I want to drop profanity, I'm going to, because it's authentically what I'm feeling. I don't hold back anymore.
It's real. It's you.
It's real. It's me. It's like, it's raw. Because in a moment, if you really want to say shit and you're like, oh, sugar cookies, that's baloney. That's bullshit, right? Like, how much more is it authentic? And if it aggravates you, ask yourself why. What were you programmed to believe about it? And why are you sitting with your prim pinky finger up, drinking your teeth and making judgments on other people? Because the moment you're pointing at somebody, their finger's pointing back at you. So sit with that reality of you're going to sit here and judge and be like, well, Luna, I can't tell you how many times people roll up into my lives and they'll be like, you're going to hell, you tarot card reading bitch. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I know my heart. I don't have to try to explain that to you. Now, sometimes it's fun just to go Bible at them because I know it a lot better than these idiots. But And it's not even about like ego here. It's more of about education, right? It's about bringing that knowledge to self. So where your attention goes, your life flows. So it's not claiming that old version of yourself anymore. You are entitled to reinvent yourself. You're entitled to come into a new version of yourself. I don't care what your family is. I don't care what you come from. If this is what you want to become, lean into it. Lean into it. There are no excuses. You can't say, well, I don't come from a wealthy family. Neither do I. I was the first in my family to go to college on an academic scholarship to U of I. This is not about the expectations of what they had for me. It's about aligning with who I am as a person and human. So if that resonates, hopefully that answers your questions a little bit, Nico.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So let's move into that next segment. Let's talk about how I can support that transformation. It was about 10 days ago. Talk about leaning into who I'm becoming, right? And who you are becoming and how I'm supporting that growth for us as a collective. Because we've talked about that law of divine oneness and how when I elevate, you elevate. When we elevate together, all the boats rise with the tide, right? So about 10 days ago, I was sitting with Spirit and it said, Luna, we need a revolution. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I'm going to be your Joan of Arc, 2026 version. Like, what do you want? Am I not doing enough? And they're like, no. And I'm like, thanks. That was harsh. So I created the Alignment Collective. It's not this membership for women. It's not like a spiritual club, like you're going to go work out at Planet Fitness for your mind. This is something different. It's not because you need more information. It's just women need to go somewhere where they stop abandoning themselves and stop pretending it's okay. And it's not just for women. I want to make that very clear. When I say women, I'm those are generally who I work with because they're the ones that have abandoned themselves more. They need a place where they can go where they're not competing with one another. I will tell you, some of the ugliest stuff I've ever seen is how certain women treat other women through ego and competition. They need a place to go where they stop performing. They stop apologizing for taking space. How I still do this, and I'm working through it. I am a work in progress of becoming her. I can't tell you how many times I say sorry when I either mean excuse me or when I'm like, I said what I said. I'm not apologizing because it becomes inconvenient for somebody else. I am not going to apologize anymore for taking that space. A place where you feel safe to grow and you're not looking around. I always say life is a lot like a bowling game. I truly don't care what they're bowling in the other alley because the moment I look over to see how somebody else is doing, I'm going to drop that bowling ball right on my foot and it's going to hurt. I need to stay in my lane. I need to sweep my porch. I need to stay focused on my own growth. That said, though, collectively, like I said, with the law of divine oneness, when I grow, you grow. When I heal, you heal. And we need to remember, we're not here to become someone new. It's not like this is going to be, I've gone to workshops, I've gone to retreats, I've gone to things, and they are trying to transform you into somebody new. No, it's simply about returning to yourself. The most treacherous thing you can do is abandon yourself, right? And you're performing the version of her you think she should be as opposed to just being you, right? You're apologizing for the smallest scraps of life that you want. You're grown. I see women all the time in my practice that'll come in and be like, I just want this, but and they're working full time too. My husband says I can't go buy this, and it's not even about consumerism. It's about permission. You don't need to ask permission to exist. You don't need to ask permission to align to who you need to be. It's not about overloading this information in the Alignment Collective either. It's a rhythm. It's a practice. It's a community. So if this starts to resonate with you, if this episode has resonated with you and you're on that path to becoming her, him, or whatever, as we look at that, there is that opportunity, right? So we'll kind of stay with that we have obviously these private monthly sessions. We have journal prompts, podcast discussions. Every time I have a podcast, people coming on the podcast, meaningful conversations, supportive women walking alongside each other, because all of us are starting to wake up, especially now that CERN is off. And I'm going to say just that. We are starting to have that call to wake up. We're starting to have that stirring inside that there is more to life, that it's not supposed to feel like Groundhog's Day, that every day you wake up, you're like, what's this going to be? What? I'm excited. Let's go. Right? Because transformation does happen by yourself, but it happens exponentially in community with like-minded hearts and souls, right? You were never, ever meant to take any of these steps by yourself. So, Nico, when you look at this, or Patrick, I've got two fabulous producers in the studio today. How does that resonate with you? Like what we've been talking about so far?
About the transformation?
Yeah, about the transformation. And you were asked, because you were asking before about it.
Yeah. Well, if we're not consistently transforming, then we're not growing into a better version of ourselves, is the best way I look at that.
Right.
Because if you're not actively trying to transform, you're just still in dead water.
Right.
And that's not good for anyone.
And ponds become scummy, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
They become riddled with resentment, regret, anger, frustration, all of those low level energy frequencies, right? Because now you're like, I could have been some. Do you know how many times I've walked in to talk to somebody and they're angry about the life that they had? I could have been somebody. Why didn't you?
Right.
Why didn't you? Who was responsible for becoming someone? Like they want to blame their family, their poverty, the bullies. They want to blame their 15 ex-wives. They want to, but ultimately, who was responsible for them becoming someone? I could have been a contender. Like, I mean, honestly, who was responsible?
Right. Like, yeah, they could have been, but they decided.
They chose not to.
Yep, they chose not to.
Fear kept them small. Fear kept them small. Now, as you sit there and think about that, that was their regret. When I've worked with the elderly community, it's never, I should have worked more. I should have, I had more money in my bank account. The things they sit with are the regrets that they have from not facing their fears, from not becoming. I worked with a woman just recently. I was doing some work with her cat, because I do pet psychology and pet and intuitive work, and the cat was being a big pain in her ass.
Scan the QR code, folks.
Scan the QR code, friends. But what ended up happening was we got into a deeper understanding that even at 76, she still felt controlled by her dead mother. And it felt small, and she couldn't live the life. And then it was that control was passed from her mother to her husband who had passed. So someone was always her jailer in her mind, and she couldn't pass to that version of herself. And it was fearful now as she didn't have her mother alive and her ex-husband had passed. Who was she? Who did she want to be when all of those shackles were removed that never should have been there in the first place? You are sovereign. You are sovereign. And people might say, well, Luna, I live in this, I live here or there, and I can't. Choices. Okay. Choices. You are sovereign. Now, being sovereign is sometimes not super cool, and people are not going to like you, and it can feel a little lonely. But the moment you start becoming her, him, or them, you align to the person that you're intended to be. Right? Does that resonate?
Oh, yes.
Now, I will say this with our alignment collective, that spirit put this into my heart and I put it into work. And for the last 10 days, I've really been very grounded and grinding at this work. There's only space for 55 at this point, because as it works, I have 30-minute monthly meetings one-on-one with people. Then we have an alignment collective. Then we have a source and a space where we all get together. So for it to be meaningful, I have to have it limited. I'm not trying to say that of the tens of thousands of people across many social medias that I impact and our community reaches, I'd love to have everybody in, but to do meaningful work, it's capped at 55. So once we hit 55 in the enrollment of this, I might be able to open it up if I look at my calendar and schedule, but right now I want to make the work meaningful. So it's not about, everybody is welcome, But right now, the space, it's kind of like going to get the new Apple phone. Like you wait in line. They only got so many at the store. This is what we have right now is that limited spaces of 55. Now, as we are coming to the end of this, we've talked about obviously, and hopefully I've reframed the way you look at manifestation, but I want to ask you one question. I'm going to ask it to Patrick. I'm going to ask it to Nico. Who are you becoming? Not what do you want? I'm asking you, who are you becoming?
Patrick, you want to take this one?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like the human experience is constantly transformative. Like every experience we have can alter the path we take. And depending on how we sort of perceive that experience or how it affects us or how we let it affect us, down the line, that plays a part. And for me, like one of my favorite books or like movies is Dune. And like one of the taglines in that movie is fear is the mind killer. And I love that because
I love that.
Like, how you frame your fear, it could kill your mind and you won't progress at all as a person. You won't be able to achieve what you want or like what your goals are if you let the fear and the anxiety or the, like, you compare yourself, you do all these like things mentally that like almost become like a habit. Like we're creatures of habit, humans are. So if we allow that to be like habitual constantly, it can just, you just regress at that point.
Repeat that quote again. Fear is the
mind killer.
I'm going to build on that. Fear is the mind killer and comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that.
Yeah. And like in that book, like his mother, and there's multiple themes with that of how she like plants the ideas in his head. But the ultimate like message of that is like, how do you allow fear to control you? Especially like, with the alignment and everything. It's like if you like just constantly take that route, you won't become who you want to become. And we can be capable of incredible stuff if we
dynamic. Could you imagine if Einstein was afraid when he got kicked out of school? Could you imagine if every great inventor, I mean, even Nikola Tesla, all of that stuff, if they didn't lean into it when he was being considered crazy, but then all of his stuff was stolen. I mean, like, I'm not going to get into that, but could you imagine if all the great minds of the 20th and 21st century just said, nah, I'm scared, I'm gonna keep it small.
I have a quote that I completely forgot where I heard it from, but with Patrick's, it reminded me of it. And I've been living by this for, I don't know, the past 5 years. And it's the comfort zone is where dreams go to die.
The comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Yeah, stretch yourself. But realize you're going somewhere. It's not just like, I'm going to take this, even if you join the Alignment Collective and you're just like, I'm joining it so I can become her. It requires the effort, right? And it requires the road. It requires the steps. It's not just about the red badge or courage and having like, oh my God, I'm in the, no, it's about becoming and where you're headed and being on that alignment, right? So, because every decision you make today, every boundary, oh my God, I didn't even get into that. Every boundary you set, every belief you have, every action you take is a vote for your future self. So I'll backstep that a little bit and I'll say women, and there's men too. I've seen some men that have very violated boundaries. If you're not putting those boundaries up and you're not saying no when you mean no, and if you're not saying that's not right, that hurts, because you want to walk on eggshells or not hurt somebody's feelings. If you're betraying your feelings because you're perceiving how somebody else might feel about you speaking your truth, what? And I used to do it. And I look back at myself, I'm like, why were you that girl? I don't even recognize her anymore. People I'll run into will be like, oh, who are you? I'm me. Well, that's not how you used to respond. You would just do that. You'd be the one to pick up the slack or, solve all the problems during crises or give me that reading for free or do whatever the case. Well, that's not her. That's not her. You've changed. Hell yeah, I sure hope so. I hope you do too. Hell yeah, I hope you do too. Right?
It's okay to be selfish sometimes.
It's not selfish. And that's the thing. I think that's the shit that we're sold by community, that we are supposed to be the good little soldiers. It's self-care. Because how can you give and care to others when you are neglecting yourself, right? Think about it. Like if you were like, oh, I'll give up my shower so somebody else can shower. What? Like you think of body care, you think about hygiene, you think about, taking care of yourself from a systemic thing with if you have to be on certain medicines, if you have to do certain routines, if you have to eat, but you don't think about your energy that way. What? You don't think about your peace that way. You don't think about your heart that way. You're not taking up space. This was your space to have. We all came to this crazy ass planet to learn and to grow. And the one thing that I think we're going to see that transformation, and that's why I'm very excited about these founding members coming into the Alignment Collective with Luna Goddess. Again, you can click on my QR code up at the top. The most important thing is the world is headed into this collective agreement. The world is headed into understanding the law of divine oneness more. You're going to be ahead of the trend. It's not even going to be a trend. You're going to be ahead of the transformation. And when I say you're going to see communities now start to do things more like barter and come together, it's about damn time, right? So if this conversation spoke to your heart, I invite you to take that one small step aligned today. Maybe share this. I will say this. I don't ask enough of you to share episodes, but if it spoke to your heart, go back, watch some of our other episodes, stream our content. If it spoke to your heart, share it with a woman that's been abandoning herself. Maybe take that time, leave a message so maybe it reaches someone who's been waiting for permission to choose yourself. You do not need permission to choose yourself. And I will say this too. If you want to break those generational curses, if you want to move into your own personal alignment, you're going to need to start to choose yourself. And why is that so critical? Especially if you are raising the next generation. They're watching you. They're watching you have fear, and their fears become part of their epigenetics. Your fears become their fears. And if you've been listening to this and thinking, I just don't want inspiration, I want somewhere to actually practice this, I'd love to welcome you to the Alignment Collective. Like I said, 55 members is where we can start. It's the work I can work through. Again, we're going to return to ourselves. We're going to support each other. We're going to heal and practice. We're going to strengthen intuition together. When the alignment becomes a way of living, it's not just what we talked about. It becomes your life. I remember getting my life back when I finally started to fall into my alignment and choose myself. It is such a freedom. I wake up every day thinking, what a blessing. If this feels like it's the next step for you, as I said, that QR code's been up there the whole time. Come to lunagoddess.org and explore the Alignment Collective. This was not my idea. I got to give all the props to my creator, to spirit, to the universe, to God, to Yahweh, to Yeshua, whatever you want to call, whatever you believe, but it's there. As we kind of wrap up, I just want to say, you're not trying to become someone new. You're becoming who's already within inside you. It's almost like you're awakening her. You're not waiting to be created. You're just waiting to remember. So the thing of the matter is this. You're coming out of your chrysalis, and no one, not even I, can correct that chrysalis. If you're truly going to be transformed into the butterfly that you can become, the struggle has to be yours. You have to struggle out of it, but you struggle into your alignment, right? So the change is yours. The becoming is yours. The practice is yours. And in that last image that we have, remember, you don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you're aligned to receive. Above all, go back and think about that for a little bit. You manifest what you're aligned to receive. And just be grateful for some of those unanswered prayers, because they took you in a direction that you never believed that you could be in. I never believed this would be my life, and every day I'm so grateful for it. So if that resonates with you, connect with us. Remember, until next time, keep choosing yourself and keep practicing your intuitive innovations.